Yeah. So I only got two assignments from both of one is from Imran and one is from Sivananda. So what about the Tanmay and Deepika? Why didn't you submit your assignment?
I was doing in between my kid came, so I stopped doing it. I'll send you the answer.
Yeah. Please do take care of the assignments seriously, like office work, because if your kid comes in between, you will finish the office work anyhow, right? So, so give similar priority to this also. Uh, we are paying for something, so take it seriously. So, Tanmay, by the pending assignment, I think two or three pending assignments.
Yeah, I've done. I'll send it. Yes.
Okay. So try to send the assignment
Hello.
not on the day of this class. Try to send the
Yeah, just
assignment on the just like if today I give you an assignment, send it by tonight. Then it will be fresh in your memory, and it will be easier for you to remember and solve it. Right? Otherwise, you have to struggle a lot. Okay, so let's start with that. Um,
your voice is breaking actually. I'm not sure if I'm
Is
only
it
facing this.
only Tanmay that is facing this problem,
No,
or?
Yes, Biswa, I'm also
no,
facing the
for
problem.
me
It is
too.
breaking in between.
Oh, okay. So, okay. So maybe my internet has some problem. Uh, let us wait for some time. Let us see if it is continuing like that. Then I will. Is it still bad?
It's the same.
Okay. Is it still bad?
See, it is happening intermittently,
Okay.
continuously, and then it will stop. Like that.
Okay. I connected with my 4G also, so now I'm connected with both my networks. So let us see Wi-Fi and 4G. So it should be
Uh,
better.
no, it's okay.
Yeah.
Whatever you speak, it's okay.
Okay. Okay. So let me know when you see the screen.
We can see the screen. Biswa.
Okay. So today we will read about Gaussian naive Bayes theorem. Okay. Gaussian naive Bayes, not theorem, sorry, classifier. Naive Bayes classifier. So before knowing this, you have to know about a concept called likelihood. Okay, this is going to be very frequently used in our classes because likelihood is also used as a loss function in deep neural networks. If you remember from our last classes, um, so loss function is something we measured as a distance between the error and the actual value and squared it, and summed it, and then try to reduce it using gradient descent. So likelihood is also related to that. Try to understand concept clearly here because it will be used in multiple places. Okay. So let's go. Understanding likelihood is like understanding the main difference between probability and likelihood. Okay, because literary in English terms both mean the same thing, right? What is the probability of Dhoni hitting a six, or what is the likelihood that Dhoni hitting a six? In English terms, it means the same thing to us, right? But statistically or mathematically, they are not the same thing. Okay, uh, especially in continuous discrete random variables. Okay, so what is the main difference I will tell you here is that in case of continuous probability distributions, um, So this is the value, this is the random variable, and this is the probability function, right? This is the probability function. I hope you remember this. And the probability was that the random variable was in a range between x1 and x2 is the area under the curve between x1 and x2, right? So this was what we did. And this was found out by integrating f of x dx from x1 to x2. So this one was called the probability of x1 greater than equal to x less than equal to x2, right? So this one was the probability of x greater than equal to x1 and less than equal to x2. Now, can anybody say me what is the probability of p of x equal to x1? Deepika, what do you think its value will be?
It will be from like from this x1 wherever is there, left side of all the area and
Oh, this side you're telling.
yeah.
No, that one will be p of x1 less than equal to x1. P of x less than equal to x1. You are talking about cumulative distribution, CDS, cumulative
Okay.
CDF, cumulative distribution function. That one was different. That one was the probability of x less than equal to x1. In that
Okay.
case, it was the entire area from the left of x1. But I'm asking, what is the probability of x equal to x1?
That straight line itself.
Yeah, so
That line.
okay, so it will be 0. Okay, because the area of a single line, straight line is 0, right? So it is infinitesimally small. If you consider it x1, it is infinitesimally small line, and a straight line, the area covered by this line is considered as 0. So so therefore, in this one I can write in this form also: x1 greater than x and less than x2 is same as greater than equal to and greater than less than equal to. So it doesn't matter. Equal to is 0 anyways. Sorry? Just a minute. Hello? Yeah, somebody is speaking. Somebody was asking something. Okay. Okay. So remember this, that the probability of a variable at
Hello, I cannot hear clearly.
is it same with everybody else? You cannot hear me?
Now I can hear you, Vishwa.
Or you can hear me? Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. So the probability at a single point is 0 because the area of that straight line is 0. Okay. In a range, it is the area under that curve, and less than equal to or less than is same thing. This one is cumulative distribution function. So this is the summation of all the probabilities from minus infinity till x1. Okay, this is cumulative density function, CDF, that we read. Now likelihood is the value of f of x at the point x1. Okay, so likelihood is the value of f of x at the point x1. So this is different from probability. In probability, we are looking for the area. So the probability of x is equal to x1 is equal to 0. But the likelihood of x is equal to x1 is not equal to 0. Okay. This one will be equal to, there is some value. That will be like f of x1. Okay. So this is called the likelihood. Okay. So this is this is mathematically we understood what is likelihood and what is probability. But in case of real-time problem solving, what does it mean? So real-time problem solving is that suppose we are collecting a lot of apples. Okay, we're collecting a lot of apples and we are weighing them. Okay, we're taking the weight of the apples and we are keeping in a basket. Okay, so and we see that this is the distribution of the weight. This is the way the weight is distributed. The mean is at 32. Okay, 32 grams. So mean weight of the apple is 32 grams, and with a standard deviation of say 2 grams. So this is a kind of a normal distribution, right? So 32 is the mean and standard deviation is 2 grams. Okay, 2 grams on the left, 2 grams on the right. Yes. Okay. So now, now how we will write the probability of this? The probability of a weight between W1 and W2 given the mean is equal to 32 and the standard deviation is equal to 2 is the area under that curve, right? So area, so this is same as greater than equal to or less than equal to, same thing. So here mark two parts are there. This is a conditional probability, right? So here this is one part and this is another part. What is each part describing? This part is describing the distribution. Okay. It is telling me how is the distribution. It is a Gaussian distribution with a mean at 32 and a standard deviation of 2. And this is telling me the range of the probability. The range of the probability which I need to calculate. Okay. So in calculating probability, what will happen is this distribution remains constant. Okay. The range changes. Okay. Sometimes it will be probability of A to B. But given will be same. Okay. So that means my distribution is not changing. My distribution is constant. My range is changing, and hence my probability values are changing. So this is how probability is defined in case of a Gaussian distribution. Okay. So given the mean and the standard deviation, this is the probability that a particular that the random variable will lie between this range, right? So given the distribution, what is the probability that the random variable will lie in this range? But in likelihood, it becomes just the opposite. Okay, it means given the weight of the given the weight of the apple is equal to say 34 grams, given the weight of the apple equals to 34 grams, the mean of the distribution is 32 and the standard deviation is 2. Just the opposite. Okay, just the opposite. Here also there are 2 parts. Okay, it's just the opposite. So here what will happen is that the distribution can be shifted. The distribution can be shifted to left, right. Okay, but the likelihood will not. That means in such a distribution, the likelihood that the weight will be 34 grams is say 70%. But if I change this distribution to little left side, or say like this, little left side, then the same weight 34 gram likelihood will come down to 20%. Okay, so that means what? Here the distribution tells that the mu is at 32 and standard deviation is at 2. Here the mu is at say 20 and the standard deviation is at 2. So I shifted the distribution and then I am checking the likelihood. Okay, so I am trying to get the value of the likelihood, the y-axis value of the likelihood from the x-axis value. W is equal to 34 is the x-axis value, right? Provided this is the distribution. Now I cannot change the x value. But I can change the distribution value and see the new likelihood. Okay, so this is the major difference between probability and likelihood that you need to understand, right? So probability tells that the distribution is constant. What is the likelihood that a random variable will fall under a particular range? Likelihood says that the random variable is constant. What is the likelihood given a particular distribution? I can change the distribution and the likelihood can change. Okay, so based on this we will learn this is the basic theory behind using which we will learn the Gaussian naive Bayes classifier. Okay, so suppose similar to our spam and not spam example, we will talk about same example. Okay, we will have not same example, you can take a different example. So suppose suppose we went to see a movie, a recent movie, say what is this movie? Say Avengers. You went to see, okay, Avengers. Now this Avengers movie, we want to classify. A person comes in, okay, whether this person will like the movie or not like the movie. Okay, we want to make a binary classification. Person has come, this is the Avenger movie, he will like or not like. Okay, what are the basic questions we will ask? What are the features of Avengers movie, right? What are the features of the Avengers movie that will help us determine whether the person will like or not like the movie, right? So suppose the one of the feature is the length of the movie. Length, how much time the movie is running. Okay, or we see in this way, or we see this way, that how much time the person spend in the hall. and since he spent in the hall, so what, how much, how many grams of popcorn he ate? Popcorn. How many grams of popcorn he ate? How many milliliters of soda he drank? And how many grams of candy he ate while watching the movie? Okay. So suppose we have these information. So these are the features of the movie Avenger. They are not directly related to the movie Avenger, right? So in Avenger, there is a different list of features, but from the amount of popcorn, soda, and candy consumed by a particular viewer, we can we determine whether he liked or not liked the movie? That is the question. Okay. So suppose we have a list of value here, list of value here, and a list of value here. A lot of values are there. Okay. So this is training data. This is our training data. Okay. And here will be another column, like or not like. Okay. So each row will have certain popcorn grams value, soda in ml, candy in gram, and then like or not like. And again, like this, one more row will come, how much popcorn, how much soda, how much candy, and then not like. Okay. So like this is the training data. This is the training data that I will get. I will continue to say some 10,000 rows or something. Okay. So like this, I have a lot of data. Okay. Now, why now mark the thing Gaussian? What is Gaussian in this? What is Gaussian in this? We all understand about Bayes theorem. We know multinomial Bayes classifier. Okay. But here we are trying to see why did we use the word Gaussian Bayes classifier. Okay. So that one we have to see. Okay. So now, sorry. Okay. So now we have to see that we have to assume here there is a big assumption. In this type of classifiers, there is a big assumption. What is that assumption? The assumption is that every distribution is Gaussian or normal in nature. Every distribution is Gaussian in nature. This is a big assumption that this particular approach of classification algorithm holds. Okay. So that means this is a distribution, this is a distribution, and this is a distribution. All these three distributions hold are Gaussian in nature. May not be perfectly Gaussian, but they are 90% Gaussian in nature.
It's not audible clearly.
You are on mute, Biswa.
Yeah, I got disconnected. Is it better now? Can you guys hear me now? I don't know. This is traveling a lot. I'm connected to two networks. So, oh. Okay, let's hope this system is makes sense stable. Okay. So one big assumption is that we have all the distributions are nearly Gaussian in nature. Okay. That means what? This type of distribution. Okay. So that means what? There will be 68% of people eating popcorn between the first standard deviation of the distribution of popcorn. You guys remember what is the normal distribution, Gaussian distribution properties, right? So within first standard deviation, 68% of the data lies. Second standard deviation, how much percentage of data lies, Imran?
97.
And third?
98.
99.5.
99.
Okay, so that means we are assuming all these are following the same, not this one. All these three distributions are following the Gaussian thing. Okay, and you mark here one more thing. How many grams of popcorn, how many ml of soda, and how many grams of candy? What is the type of the variable here? This continuous random variable, right? This is not a discrete variable, right? When we read about binomial multinomial naive Bayes classifier for the spam or not spam, in that problem we had words as our entries, and we counted the number of words, and they were either 2 or 4 or 5, and they were kind of discrete random variables, right? Either you can have one word or you can have two words. You cannot have 1.5 words, right? So that was an example of a discrete random variable. This is example of a continuous random variable. So that means you get an idea that I will apply Gaussian naive Bayes classifier mostly in situations where my random variables are continuous in nature. Because if they're not continuous in nature, then I cannot assume a continuous distribution like this, right? If it is not continuous in nature, then what will happen? It will be a histogram. And then I have to smoothen that histogram to convert it into a continuous distribution. Okay. So this is continuous and this is discrete. So one approach is, whenever you see discrete random variables in your classification problem, go for multinomial naive Bayes classifier. And when you see continuous random variables, go for Gaussian naive Bayes classifier. Okay. Now the things become simple. Now what we have to do is, for popcorn, we have to plot the Gauss graph. Okay. So we can divide the popcorn in two parts. All the parts which loved the movie Avengers, and all the parts which did not love the movie Avengers. Then we have a set here, popcorn who love Avengers. We have a set here, popcorn who do not love Avengers. Okay. Now from here, find a mean and standard deviation. From here, find a mean and standard deviation and plot the graph. Let's say the graph is like this. So green is for this one, they love the movie, and red is for this one. Okay. So that means what? This mu is somewhere here, and this mu is somewhere here. And the spread, the standard deviation, this value is more, so the graph is spread more, and this standard deviation is less, so the graph will spread less. Similarly, let's do it for the others also. Other 3 random variables. Okay. So let's do it. Okay. So this is the total random variable Gaussian distributions for each continuous random variable in both categories. Okay. So red category is do not love, green category is love. Okay. And what we used the Gaussian standard deviation for this, Gaussian distribution for this. Okay. Now let me erase this. Okay. So now things become very simple. Okay. Now we will use Bayes theorem, simple Bayes theorem. Okay. For Bayes theorem, what do we need? Who can say me?
Priors.
Good. Very, very good. We need a prior. Okay. So we need a prior. Sorry. We need a prior. So what is the prior here? Prior that somebody loves the movie Avenger, and prior that somebody does not love the movie, not love the movie as Avenger. Okay. What was the technique that we decided to to calculate prior?
Total number of likes means number of likes by total number of data.
Yes,
Counts.
that is mostly from the training data.
Yes.
So let us assume there are 8 people who like it and 8 people who don't like it. Fair 50-50 percentage. Right. So this is 0.5 and this is also 0.5. So we have our priors ready. This prior is our initial belief system, right? This is our initial belief from the training data without knowing anything, just by going by the training data. We see that 50% of the people love the movie and 50% of the people don't love the movie. This is prior. Now, what will happen? I will get evidence. I'll get evidence. What does Bayes theorem say? Evidence changes the probability of the prior and hence affects the posterior probability, right? So posterior probability is equal to prior probability multiplied by evidence probability, right? Divided by total probability of evidence, right? What was the formula? Posterior probability was probability that the hypothesis is true given the evidence is equal to probability of the hypothesis multiplied by probability of the evidence given the hypothesis by total
Evidence.
probability of the evidence. Right. So here also we have to do same thing. So we want to know that how many people love the movie given the evidence that a new person has come and he ate, say, 20 grams of popcorn, 500 ml of cold drinks or soda, and 25 grams of candy. Okay, and this new person ate this much. So this is our evidence. Now we have to plug this evidence into our formula, right? So how to do that? It is, we have to calculate the likelihood. So this is the same way we were doing it in case of naive Bayes classifier multinomial, but we were dividing it by numbers. Simply we are calculating the probability. Okay, this probability, right? When in case of the hypothesis, what is the evidence? Here, since we don't have the exact number and this is a continuous random variable, so what we will do? We will try to get the value from the graph. Okay, so if the hypothesis is that he loves the movie. Okay, so here what is the likelihood of the evidence, or what is the probability of the evidence given the hypothesis is true, that is he likes the movie. So suppose, so this is the point, 20 grams, this is the point 500 ml, and this is the point say 25 grams of. So these are the points where the new person who has come has present. So what you do is you just take the y-axis value here. Okay, just take the y-axis value here. Let's assume this is 0.5 and this is 0.4 and this is a very small number, very small number. Okay, so there is a problem here. So what was the in the formula? What we will do? We'll do 0.5 into 0.5 into 0.4 into the very small number divided by PE, right? So the problem here is this very small number can create a problem known as underflow. Okay, remember this term underflow. What is underflow? Underflow is the limit of a computer in handling zero numbers close to zero, right? So what is the precision of a system that it can handle a number close to zero? If I write 1 into 10 to the power minus 10 in my system, whether it will consider it as zero or it will consider it as a very small number with 0.09 zeros and 1. It depends on the underflow of the system. Okay, so sometimes some systems are very good at underflow. They can handle very good small numbers, but some systems are not. Okay, so in that case, what do we do? To escape this problem, we apply log. We apply log on the numerator. So we have 1 by probability of E into this is 0.5 into 0.5 into 0.4 into a very small number, right? So this one was our posterior probability. If I consider this as a constant, then this becomes C, Now I apply log on this. Okay, I apply log on this. So what will happen? C will come out log of 0.5. It will become an addition plus log of 0.5 plus log of 0.4 plus log of the small number. Okay. What is the beauty of a log of a small number? How is the log function? Like this, right? So when the number is very, very small, we will have a very high positive value, right? So this is the benefit of applying log to a multiplication which has a very, very small number and there is a risk of underflow, right? So this will convert into a bigger number. So this will give us some value. Let's say that this gives us a value K1 or Kn. This is the posterior probability that the new person who came in will love the Avengers movie. Similarly, we will calculate the posterior probability of the person with not loving the Avengers movie. That will be K not loving. Same way, we'll apply log there also. Okay, and then whichever value is higher, that is the classification. Same like by the naive Bayes classifier, nothing different. Okay, so only difference what you saw here is between a discrete random variable and a continuous random variable, right? So when I was using a discrete random variable, I also that time also I used likelihood, but I could not. I did it like a frequentist. So there are two types of statisticians, right? Frequentist and Bayesian. So frequentist means you divide the count, you count and then divide by the number of possibilities. So we did in the first case when we are doing the spam or normal message, we calculated the likelihoods by hand, by division. Okay, multiplied it and then found the answer. Okay, here since this was a continuous random variable, it was not possible for us to calculate it by hand. So what we did, we assumed that each of the random variables, that is the popcorn, the soda and the candy, are Gaussian in distribution. That is, they follow Gaussian distribution rules. And we found their means and standard deviations and plotted them as graphs. After plotting them as graphs, when the new person came in, we put those values in the x-axis and found the likelihood of those values from the y-axis, plugged them into the Bayes theorem, and since there was one value which was very small, so we applied log on the total Bayes theorem and calculated the final value, compared them with each other, and then found out what is the which is the better one. Okay, so this is Gaussian naive Bayes theorem. Okay, one thing I did not say in the last class was why we call it naive. Naive means very something which is very simple, right? Who doesn't know much. We call literature meaning of naive is that, right? So if you remember in the last example, dear friend and friend dear, both will yield the same classification values, classification scores, right? Because we are not differentiating in the order, in which order the words are coming. We are just taking the words as a bag of words, right? So it doesn't matter whether dear friend is coming or friend dear is coming, right? So since this is not taken into account, so this is called naive Bayes classifier. There will be a Bayes classifier which will also take the order into account, and that will be much more better and will be used in time series or forecasting kind of problems, mostly regression. Okay, so that one also we will discuss about. So this is all about our Gaussian naive Bayes classifier. I hope you guys understood the concept. So point is that you have to remember that when you will solve a particular classification problem using either naive Bayes or Bayes multinomial Bayes classifier, it is not that you have to do the math there by hand. Okay, this math is only shown to you for understanding the in-depth understanding of how this particular model works. Okay, this is not for your practical usage. For practical usage, you already have a function in sklearn and keras called naive Bayes classifier, which you can straight away use without even bothering about how it is working in the background. But what is the benefit that you will get after knowing this theory is that when you read the problem next time, you will be aware which type of classifier you want to use. Okay, because if this problem contains the random variables which are continuous in nature, you will use naive Bayes Gaussian naive Bayes classifier. If they are discrete in nature, then you will use multinomial naive Bayes classifier. And you can yourself see the accuracy and that processing time will be much better when you make a informed decision. Okay, because you know now how it works in the background, right? What is the math of the background, you understand, right? So that is the importance. So any doubts here, anybody? Okay, so if you have no doubts, then what will have I'll do is I will take a question and I will put it in the group, solve it by today as an assignment and send by tonight. Okay, so I'll put the screenshot of the question on the group. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you everybody.